Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malifaux and Game 3, the final game of Taelor Soldier Spy 2017 tournament. I've climbed my way up to table 3 and there's everything to play for, because in 3-round tournaments things don't separate out so much, and more people get a shot at the gold. Not that I'm aware of this, as I'm pretty tired by now and don't really know what's going on. I'm facing off against Fantigi, another one of these too much info upstarts. A solid player. I believe he wins Best Thunder Player pretty often, and in fact he did in this tournament. And so the game is on. Can I defend the honour of Darksphere, or will I be cruelly trampled into the dust? Find out over the next 15 or so minutes. I lose deployment and deploy first. I notice that my opponent's bringing along Envy, and I've got a healthy respect for that thing's gun, so I'm trying to take cover where I can. So I've got a Canine Remains right here at the back. Carrion Emissary with the Conflux of Forbidden Knowledge. Sebastian with Those Are Not Ours. Decided against Corpse Bloat in this one. McMorning with Plastic Surgery, Moonlighting and Decaying Aura. A Nurse, Rafkin, Zombie Chihuahua, and Johanna. I don't actually have a picture of how my opponent deployed, but this is the crew he brought. We've got Jacob Lynch with Woke Up With a Hand, The Rising Sun and Wanna See a Trick, Hungering Darkness with Recalled Training and Hidden Agenda, a Shadow Emissary with the Conflux of Hunger, 2 Ten Thunder Brothers, Envy with Recalled Training, a Stitched Together and a Depleted. The Ten Thunders split their crews so that the Shadow Emissary, a Ten Thunder Brother and Hungering Darkness were over on this side. We had a Depleted in the back corner, Envy, Jacob Lynch and another Ten Thunder Brother over here. The Stitch Together was somewhat more central. So just imagine that, if you will. So my plan for this game is to score interference by summoning lots of dogs and hiding them right here at the back so that it makes it very difficult for him to get hunting party if that's what he's going for. I decided that the best way to build up numbers fast is to start with the Canine Remains rather than using Corpse Bloat on Sebastian to get one in turn 1. The idea being that the Canine Remains can just dig up a corpse, and then I'll have 2 Canine Remains turn 1. The Emissary shards will go down and I'll get a Corpse Marker Zombie, and then my 2 dogs can try to dig up more corpses for Sebastian to summon even more dogs, and by that point my table quarters should be pretty secure and I can push quite aggressively towards my opponents. I've got no idea what my opponent's capable of fielding. I was somewhat expecting Asami, but when I see Jacob Lynch, I go for Eliminate the Leadership because McMorning can just destroy Lynch. It is risky because Lynch is no slouch at the counter-attack, but I know I can one-turn Lynch, and I'm pretty sure it takes Lynch, or pretty much anyone else in this crew, at least 2 activations to take McMorning down if he's fairly healthy and got soul stones. Plus, by cutting the head off the serpent, I'll be pushing into his zone, and that should take the fight out of him. As I've brought plenty of enforcers, and I see a decent number of enemy minions, I'm going to go for hunting party. Dig their graves, I tend to find I quite often struggle with. Setup requires dropping quite a lot of markers, and if I'm going for Lynch, I don't need to be distracted by trying to do stuff first. I probably won't get a second chance if I mess the attack run up. So that's the plan. Let's see if it's good enough. Turn 1, I forget a picture of my hand, and so the 10 Thunder Brothers come up here and dropped a scheme marker, and Johan, feeling exposed in Envy's firing lane, just double walks up. Oh no, sorry, she doesn't need to. So she walks up and goes defensive, which will force Envy to move at least if it wants to shoot at her. And what I'm hoping is that Jacob Lynch will take the bait at the end of the turn and try to come forwards one way or the other, preferably this way, but I'm expecting more this way. To finish her off, I'm sure he'll succeed, but he should then be very much in McMorning's sights for the start of turn 2. Over on the left flank, the Thunder Brother runs up onto the line and drops a scheme marker. Looks like he's going for claim jump then. The Shadow Emissary, this thing in the back, quite an interesting model, pushes the Hungering Darkness forwards. So I get my Carrion Emissary out, Rotten Ren the Hungering Darkness and blast into the Thunder Brother, and then drop my shards down so that if the Hungering Darkness wants to retaliate, it's going to have to lose an AP coming through them. This isn't quite what I intended, because I wanted these shards to be nice and safe back where I could drop a zombie that wouldn't be in danger of being killed before I could turn it into a dog with Sebastian. But I wasn't expecting him to press so hard on this flank so early, and needs must. Huggy comes raging through my shards and puts some really quite hard damage on the emissary. And memories of how dangerous this thing is start to come flooding back, and suddenly I'm very concerned that my emissary is going to go down and the left flank will crumble. And my attack on Lynch depends on the emissary holding this side of the board. So I'm forced to drastically switch plans. The nurse has hit McMorning up for lots of poison. He gets his poison push over here and then gets in and charges Huggy. This is really, really risky, so I'm now leaving Rafkin and Johanna facing Lynch and Envy on the right flank, and that fight is only going to go one way. But I'm hoping they can hold them back long enough for me to secure the left and then get back over to take down Lynch. Oh, and it might be worth explaining that my hand was utter garbage this turn. I've got literally nothing, so I'm using my soul stones to get positives to my attack flips, and maybe also the horror jewel. It was that bad, and also using the stones to get extra poison on my attack triggers. Huggy's already taken some damage from the emissary, and I'm hoping that I can just do a couple of points of damage, get poison up enough that I can expunge him, and have this threat put to bed. Hilariously, my opponents were stoning to put me on negative flips, for damage anyway. So I must have used 4 or 5 stones here, my opponent used 2, and not a single one on damage prevention. I mean, obviously he can't, but it's so rare, I find, for anybody to use soul stones for anything other than prevention and cards. So I quite liked the novelty of this. Unfortunately, it's nowhere near enough to bring down Huggy. I think I missed the second strike or something, so I injection Sebastian over, which makes my opponent wonder if I'm going for Dig Their Graves, but the intent is to try to bring Huggy down with the Induction Aura. As my Canine Remains failed its Dig Up a Bone flip, I mean, I didn't have the card to cheat in, I just tried it anyway. No luck this time, I charged Sebastian in at the Hungering Darkness. I hope you appreciate the effort I'm putting into trying to kill this thing. And I know, dear viewer, that you are aware that whatever happens here, Huggy's not going to die, he's just going to bury and go back into the void and wait to come out next, when something dies of brilliance. I, however, wasn't really paying very much attention when my opponent was explaining his upgrades, and am currently blissfully ignorant that I'm pouring all these resources into something that can't die. While all this is going on the right flank, we've got the Stitch Together running through the centre to try to get to the fray. Rafkin came forward, making sure to stay just outside of Envy's range. The Chihuahua had to be a bit bolder, but at least it was out of their line of sight to start with. And so Envy and Lynch have just come up over here, dropped a scheme marker. I think Lynch might have taken a shot at the Chihuahua and missed it. And you can see the depleted up here in the back corner just shuffling around. Not sure where the Thunder Brother went. Oh no, wait, ignore me, he's just poking back behind here. And so at the end of turn 1, this is how things look. Pretty bad for me, in my opinion. Turn 2, as I've burnt through so many of my soul stones, I need to hang on to them, and so can't stone this turn. I think I do get the initiative though, getting really lucky on these initiative flips in this tournament. The emissary kills the Hungering Darkness, and it's at this point that I find that he's the berry version. Groan, and then the emissary jumps over here, puts up its shards to protect it from the other emissary, and then thinks it's going to be blocking this claim jump marker and interfering with the 10th Thunder Brother. You'll notice McMorning poison pushed away from the Hungering Darkness at the end of turn 1. The 10th Thunder Brother got away from Johanna and went to go place a scheme marker in a forest nearby. I got my Chihuahua in, poisoning Envy and Lynch, which then allowed Rohan to get a 1 AP charge on Lynch. Need to start eating through his wounds, but unfortunately I just flub, I don't do very much at all. This isn't looking good, but that's okay, because Johanna can go over and at least score me my points by killing the 10 Thunder Brother. Black Joker says no. So it's 1 hit away from death, but at least I'm blocking both these claim jump markers, eh? Among other happenings, Lynch wades through my Chihuahua and Rowan like butter, and the Hungering Darkness makes a reappearance from the corpse of the brilliant Chihuahua. Huggy then walks around and drops a scheme marker just around here by Johanna. You can see my nurse has been hiding on the back table edge, trying not to be killed by any enforcers. And McMorning is desperately trying to salvage the game. He got his 5-inch poison push from Sebastian as he activated. He then injected Sebastian again to get him up around over here. I then ran with all my AP over to here. and at the end of the turn I'm going to poison push into charge range of Lynch. 25 inches this guy can go in a turn. Could have been 28 if I'd had him near the emissary. And I finished the turn by running Sebastian over into this table quarter, contesting it. And to my horror, my opponent reveals setup on Johanna, scoring the full 3 points. Played me absolutely masterfully there. I was so impressed, and I realised at this point that the game is lost. As we've both blocked one of each other's table quarters, no one scores for interference, and I'm 3-0 down. But as we go into turn 3, it happens, and I get the God Hand. I spend my last Soulstone on the initiative flip and get it, and McMorning goes in. Lynch ends up with a massive stack of poison. I don't even need to use the red joker for the expunge. I raise him up as a flesh construct to keep up numbers and keep things interfered with, and with Eliminate the Leadership scored, I'm back in the game. Although, going to admit, I'm really rather worried that his second scheme is also Eliminate the Leadership, and I'm in a rather unfriendly triangle right now. And probably justifiably, Huggy recall training's my ass. Being brilliant with no soul stones after taking quite some damage from my own poison wasn't a recipe for surviving this, but fortunately he hasn't got Eliminate the Leadership. Although part of me was hoping McMorning would survive this, but with the luck I've just had, I shouldn't be greedy and ask for more. The emissary takes down the Thunder Brother, and he and Sebastian converge on the Shadow Emissary. I put down the shards here to stop it from blasting at Sebastian, or more importantly going after my zombie. And as soon as I get the chance, Sebastian turns the zombie into a dog and runs it round here, just in case he is still trying for claim jump. The Stitch Together has a go at my flesh construct, doing some damage and pumping me for cards. Johanna brings down the Thunder Brother, scoring the hunting party. And despite being a long-range piece, Envy frickin' brutalises the flesh construct, scoring the Thunder's hunting party, and yet another of my fleshy beauties fails to survive the turn it's summoned. Honestly, the best defense these things have is the fact that opponents will think 13 wounds is hard to do to it. It's seriously not. And this is how we end the turn. My nurses run for cover, and I control both these quarters, and this one is contested, allowing me to score interference. And in a single turn, the game has taken a pretty dramatic swing towards my favour. Going into turn 4, my lucky black deck is back on form. I can't remember who got the initiative, but it was probably me. Sebastian goes, sacking a zombie for a stone and a card, and then charges on into the Shadow Emissary. All I want to do is get 2 poison on it. I succeed, and then I accomplice into my other emissary, and thanks to my high masks, destroy the thing. Didn't really even need to kill it with the emissary, with its last AP, as once I got it down to its hard to wound, as soon as it activated it would die from Sebastian's aura. But given the savage beating my emissary's taken, I felt it deserved the glory. Over on the right flank, Huggy goes in and tries to kill Johanna and fails. Oh, it was terrible. I think Envy might also have tried to shoot at her and failed. And so as the turn ends, I score interference from these quarters, and my nurse is managing to block the Stitch Together in this quarter. And that's it, guys. The tournament is over. Final scores for this game. The 10 Thunders scored no points for interference, 1 point for hunting party, and 3 points for setup. Still impressed by that. The Resurrectionists got 2 points for interference, 3 points for eliminate the leadership, and 1 point for hunting party. I think Johanna killed the 10 Thunder Brother, and my emissary killed the other 10 Thunder Brother on the same turn, but I thought it was worth it to cut down his numbers in an effort to deny interference, which I feel was the right call. Making this game 6-4 to the Resurrectionists. What an incredibly tough game that was. Being forced to abandon my strategy to go and deal with the Hungering Darkness and wasting so many resources on it, and leaving my right flank exposed to, 2 serious beaters. Things were going so wrong for me at this point. But let's hear it for the comeback. Assassination run out of nowhere. McMorning crossed the table to be here and took down his victim in style, and I'm just in love with this guy. It was pretty much a back-to-back activation, and just nothing Lynch could have done. And what can I say, I'm such a lucky bastard. The stars just aligned for me. And I feel gutted for my opponent. He was outplaying me up until this point. That's for certain. I mean, this setup on Johanna, I was gobsmacked. Amazing bit of play. And so with that, I complete my objective of winning all my games this tournament, and the absolute icing on the cake is that I finished in 2nd place and get the prize for Best Resurrectionist. Absolutely chuffed out of my boots. This is my last tournament for this year, And as my fourth one, it completes the set, letting me see where I rank up in the UK table, and to end it with a podium place and a little memento was just absolutely perfect. Here's to McMorning and his loyal companion Sebastian, who have seen me through every single game. Third place at the tournament was taken by Pinocchio's Neverborn, and first place was won by Insidiously Mad's Guild. He soloed Nelly through the event, a master he's never played before. In fact, he's never played Guild before. And in the final game had to face the Lilith of one of the best Lilith players in the country. A real testament to skill there, and to the fact that Nelly's OP. Most importantly, the Darksphere players triumphed over the Too Much Info boys. Saving face, and something which I'm gathering doesn't happen too often. Because man, those guys played a tough game. And we all went to the pub afterward and traded stories of triumphs and sorrows. And in the afternoon sun, it's really rather pleasant. Finally, I'd like to thank all of the attendees for making the event what it was, especially my opponents. Absolutely fantastic guys, couldn't ask for better. And to the Darksphere henchman who hosted the event, known to the channel as Skit Happens. He ran an absolutely flawless event, a nicer guy you could not meet. And I encourage you all to go to his events. Doesn't matter if you live overseas, fly in, it's worth it. And with that, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.